Starting today with a 2-week training program, we'll be training reporters and working with editors both here in Kenya and in The Hague over the next 2 years. Together, we will both expand the space for responsible reporting while also taking account of ourselves as the media in our coverage of the public debate of elections and judicial developments, be it at the ICC or here locally in Kenya.
We provide reporting expertise on the range of justice processes floated in Kenya since the 2007-2008 post-election violence. This includes the national level, where criminals are prosecuted and where mechanisms like the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission help to reconcile the country, and at an international level, where a country such as Kenya proves to be unable or unwilling to prosecute the people most responsible for the post-election violence. Dealing with the past, tackling impunity, providing accountability, this is why we think justice matters. We hope that through our reporting and monitoring project over the next 2 years, we can contribute to raising the necessary awareness about justice and its importance.
The ICC is not a foreign court. It is international, but it's also mobile. It is a Kenyan court. It is part of our legal system. We ratified the Rome Statute, domesticated it, and proceeded to anchor it in Article 2 of the Constitution. We are at an advanced stage to set an international crimes division of the High Court. Reverend Dr. Sam Kobia will give you the details in the next session. Those of you who have read the UNDP publication, Termites at Work, will realize how the security, stability, and economy of this nation is mortally threatened by these termites. And the termites are, among others, crimes against humanity, drug trafficking, trafficking in humans and body parts, money laundering, counterfeit goods, corruption, piracy, and terrorism. ICDC project is owned by the Council for the Administration of Justice, the assembly line for the justice sector. It has robust support of the Ministry of Justice, the Attorney General, the DPP, the Police Commissioner, the prisons, other security services, the private sector, civil society and grassroots media. The ICDC, as my colleagues in the Judicial Service Commission, the AG, and the Reverend Dr. Sami Kobia will confirm, has nothing to do with Kenyan cases pending before the ICC.
Every genocidal regime begins by taking over the media and using the media to purvey a worldview that results in mass murder and genocide. The media must itself be accountable. Power without responsibility is the licentiousness of a harlot. Every person who exercises power, and we always ask politicians to exercise power with responsibility. We in the media exercise a lot of power. We ourselves must be responsible. And that responsibility is a responsibility to truth. It has always been, it remains under my watch, the instruction that I have from the principles of this country to cooperate fully with the court in respect of material held by the government of Kenya. And therefore, going forward up to the end of this case, you can be sure that if there is anything available to us which is within our power that the court needs to supplement its evidence which it has already taken, we will provide it. And we expect that the media will deal with that, with the truth that we have placed before you.
We are supporting this project because we strongly support Kenyan efforts to realise the new constitution and to deliver Vision 2030. And that is why we also support Kenyan efforts to tackle what the Chief Justice has just called termites, and also the Kenyans' people's desire for the continued cooperation with the International Criminal Court, which the Attorney General has just so eloquently set out. And as both he and the Chief Justice said, that is a Kenyan court first and foremost.
I think it is important to tell people up-country the truth about the ICC proceedings, and also the truth about the fact that no one is above the law, and no president is above the law. Not the one you have now, and not the one you will elect in March 2013. So this is an information that has to be brought to the 190. And I think this is where I see a very important role for the media.
I know this is not a seminar about legislation, it's about a very specific aspect of reporting, but sometimes we have to go to foreign jurisdictions or international jurisdictions like the ICC because the local scenario of law and punity is perhaps not the most successful or best to resolve problems and achieve justice.
In these kinds of crimes, you have victims, lots and lots of victims. We cannot take an exodus of all these victims to The Hague so that they see and feel justice being done. But in the ICD, which is right here next door, all these victims will be following, but perhaps participating in, and justice comes out more shining than when you are out there at the ICC. Those are some of the reasons we make a more local court, more local than the ICC. It was immediately clear that establishment of the proposed War Crimes Court would involve the application of the complementarity doctrine articulated in the provisions of the Rome Treaty. These are the provisions that enable a state member of the Rome Statute to undertake local trials over war crimes and related crimes of that kind. In due course, the necessary legislation was drafted. It had three main objectives. One, to give the Rome Treaty the force of law in Uganda. Two, to provide for offenses under the law of Uganda corresponding to offenses within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court at The Hague. And three, to enable Ugandan courts to try, convict, and sentence persons who have committed the international crimes specified in the Rome Treaty. Ever since Nuremberg, a new international jurisprudence has evolved, touching on all these things that we are talking about. It has now given rise to all these courts that we have: Yugoslavia, Sierra Leone, Bosnia, The Hague, and so on and so forth. And the upshot of all this is that in the case of Uganda, it was absolutely necessary, and I believe in the case of Kenya, absolutely necessary to do training for all those that were to be involved in the war crimes court. The judges, the registry staff, the prosecution unit, the investigators, the counselors. You need counseling. You need punishing the people, but there's also counseling the victims, trauma and so on. It's a comprehensive exercise out here.